He tapped my head when he said it, a smug pat, like you'd give a loyal dog. "Don't worry, man," he grinned, glass of whiskey in hand. "I'm just borrowing her for the night." Everyone laughed, even her, especially her. I smiled too, the kind of smile that hides an earthquake. He was my friend, Ethan, CEO of a tech company I helped build from the ground up. And she, Ava, my wife of 7 years, the only person I thought I could trust more than myself. That night, under the soft lights of his mansion, I watched her lean in closer to him, watched him whisper something that made her cheeks flush, watched her hand rest on his arm a little too long. It wasn't the first time, but it was the last time I'd stay quiet. Ethan and I had been inseparable once, college roommates, business partners. He had ambition, I had ideas. Together, we turned an app into an empire. Then the board voted. His face on the front page, mine buried in contracts. I didn't mind, not at first. I had Ava, the warmth that money couldn't buy. At least, I thought so. We met in a storm, literally. Her car broke down, I stopped to help. She said I had kind eyes. I told her she had a dangerous smile. I should have listened to my own words. It started with her laughter. She never laughed like that with me anymore. I found messages on her tablet. "You make me feel alive again." From Ethan. A date. A hotel room number. I didn't confront her. I just watched. When she said she was going shopping with the girls, I followed. She wasn't carrying any bags when she came out of that hotel, just his jacket over her shoulders. The thing about betrayal, it doesn't break you instantly. It hollows you out quietly. Then one day, you realize you're nothing but calm. And in that calm, you start to plan. Ethan thought he owned me. He didn't realize the company's intellectual property rights were still under my patent, the ones he used to impress investors, to boost profits, to win awards. I started small, moved shares into a holding account under a name he'd never notice, collected every message, every photo, every trace of their affair. Not out of jealousy, out of precision. A surgeon doesn't cut with emotion. I transferred funds quietly, closed joint accounts, changed the locks, and most importantly, made a few calls to the legal department, to the press, to a couple of investors who hated Ethan's arrogance. Timing, I've learned, is the most exquisite weapon. The night of the party was perfect. Ethan's birthday, his house glowing, laughter echoing. He introduced Ava as his favorite girl, in front of everyone. She blushed. I raised a glass. When he tapped my head and said, "I'm borrowing her for the night," I nodded. "Take good care of her," I said. And I left. By morning, everything was set. The company's servers were inaccessible. Ethan's accounts frozen. His face plastered across financial headlines, CEO under investigation for patent theft and insider fraud. The patents? Transferred back to me, legally. The evidence? Anonymous tips from a concerned shareholder. Ava tried to come home that afternoon. Her key didn't fit the door. I watched her from the upstairs window, confused, then panicked. She called me. I didn't answer. Then Ethan called her. I know because she screamed. I could almost hear his voice through the wind. "You didn't tell me your husband is the real owner. He owns everything. Everything I have." She looked around like the world had suddenly shifted beneath her feet. In a way, it had. She showed up at my office 2 days later, her makeup smeared, eyes hollow. "Please," she whispered, "it was a mistake. He meant nothing." I leaned back in my chair. "You sold your loyalty for champagne and charm, Ava. Mistakes are when you spill wine on a shirt. This was a transaction." She tried to touch my hand. I pulled it back. "You wanted a rich man," I said. "Now you have one. Go enjoy his bankruptcy." Ethan arrived later that day. Different energy, rage barely contained. "You think you can destroy me?" he spat. I looked at him. You destroyed yourself when you underestimated me. He swung. I didn't move. Security dragged him out before he could touch me. I didn't even stand up. In a week, the story was everywhere. Ethan's empire, gone. His assets seized pending investigation. Investors pulled out. Board voted him out. Ava tried to play the victim online, but no one cared. Turns out, sympathy doesn't come easy for cheaters of convenience. Me, I stayed silent. Silence, I've found, has more power than words. Last night, I drove past Ethan's old mansion. The gates were locked. The lights off. I could almost hear that laughter from the party again, the moment everything started to crumble. I didn't smile. Revenge isn't about joy, it's about balance. They borrowed my peace once. I simply collected the interest. As I sit here, whiskey in hand, I realize something. I never lost them. They lost me. And that was the real punishment. Because in the end, power doesn't shout, it whispers. And tonight, it whispers my name.